Unhinged presents 30 years of home haunting.
What? 30 years? Really?
Yeah, I mean, actually, man, it's closer to 33 years, to be honest.
30 years, huh? So you want me to believe that you've been decorating your yard for Halloween for over, let's say, 75% of your life on this planet?
Yeah, it's it's been a long time, man. I mean, I've been doing it for a long, long time.
Well, okay there, Grandpa. So if you've been doing this for such a long time, then obviously you must have some, Halloween stories.
Stories. So, you want to hear some stories?
Yep.
Maybe we should just call this Unhinged Reminiscences on Halloween.
I don't care what you call it. You could call this Unhinged Goes Loco. But you're claiming you've been doing this for over 30 years. And if so, you have to have some stories about Halloween you could tell everybody.
But yeah, okay. I'll tell you some stories. We'll start with that.
In Purgatory, there is a forbidden forest which resides a circus of the undead. And on Halloween
Hang
night,
on, wait.
What?
Dude, I don't want to hear made up Halloween stories. I want to hear stuff like, why did you even start decorating for Halloween? I'm curious to know that. And then, if you've really been doing this for 30 years, there's got to be like stories of how you scared some kid or mom or something, or somebody fell off a roof. Or you have 30 years of doing this. You got to have some funny stories somewhere about Halloween night. That's what I want to hear.
Okay, well, if you want to know that, then here's why I got into all this in the first place. Back when I was like 13, not 13, maybe 14 years old, somewhere in there. So this may have been going on for 34 years. I don't know. About the time that I really couldn't go trick-or-treating anymore, that's when this whole thing started, right? I didn't want to give up. Like, I loved Halloween. Halloween was that, I mean, it's just that time of year you run around, you get to pretend like you're someone else or something else, and, it's dark, it's creepy. I just always enjoyed that and really didn't want to give up on it. So, like I said, back 13, 14 years old, it's getting dark. Trick-or-treaters are coming to the house. I come running inside and asking my dad for some overalls. And and my dad's, of course, like,
what do you want overalls for?
What did you want overalls for?
well, just listen, I'll tell you. So anyway, I want some overalls and some of his clothes. Grabbed that, grabbed some newspaper, and I had an old mask. Anyway, put his clothes on, and I shoved newspaper, and so I stuffed myself, right, to look like a dummy. Because back in those days when you decorated, really all you really ever saw was, jack-o'-lanterns.
Like me?
People like you, yeah. Jack-o'-lanterns on porches and stuff. And then the typical dummy that would be laying or sitting down on a haystack or on a porch or chair or whatever it was to decorate for Halloween. So I wanted to stuff myself and go sit in the wheelbarrow outside, and I wanted to scare the trick-or-treaters. So as I'm doing that, I explained to my dad what I was doing. He thought it was funny, so he went ahead and went with it. And anyway, that started the whole thing right there. So that first year ever, grabbed Dad's clothes, stuffed myself all full of newspaper, put a mask on, went outside and pulled a wheelbarrow out front, sat in the wheelbarrow, and then I would just wait. There'd be tons of time when no kids were there, but I just would wait until trick-or-treaters would come up to get their candy, and as soon as they come down, blah! Just jump out of the wheelbarrow, and they jump up screaming, hollering, running, whatever. And after that, I was pretty much addicted to scaring on Halloween.
Don't you think that's a little, mean? Trying to scare the crap out of little kids who are trick-or-treating on Halloween?
I guess you could say it's mean, but I thought it was funny. So that starts this whole thing. That's, I don't know, if you want to call it the beginning of Unhinged, whatever. It was the beginning it was the beginning of haunting the yard before the term yard hunter didn't exist. Anyway, one of the other funnier times, a few more years had passed, and I had taken the time this year to kind of decorate a little bit. That first time I just set up. So anyway, I put a dummy out front, and I had a wolf mask, stuffed the wolf mask, and had a dummy out there and set them on. I think I had some cut up trees or whatever it was, some big, trunk pieces that I had setting out just on the. You walk up to the house and you look at the door there, and on the left hand side over here, I set up these stumps and put this dummy on these stumps. And that dummy sat out there for a good week or two before Halloween, and cobwebs and some other stuff. So everybody driving around the neighborhood could see that I had some decorations set up for Halloween and was going to be giving out candy. Anyway, Halloween night comes. Go run outside, grab that dummy, bring it back inside, unstuff it, get into those clothes, restuff it, get back out and set back down, right back in the exact spot that the dummy was sitting in before.
Okay, let me get this straight. So you had a dummy you had sitting outside for a couple weeks that had been rained on, bugs crawled on it, possibly the neighborhood dog ran over and even peed on it, and you grabbed that dummy and brought it inside, unstuffed it, and then you got inside that same dummy costume and restuffed yourself with that nasty stuff. And exactly why did you do that?
The whole gist is everybody's come by, seen it. They think it's fake. Now maybe it's not so fake. But my neighbors that live just right down the road over here, they had 3 kids. All of them were younger than me. 2 of them were closer to my age, and then the youngest one was trick-or-treating with his mom and his aunt. So they had come up. So here's the thing. So even when I had stuffed myself, I had painted my eyes right here.
Right there, where your eyeballs go?
Yeah, right here. I painted all this black. So if someone got close to me, I could close my eyes. That way, if they look in the mask, I close my eyes, right? And they couldn't see my eyes, hopefully, right? And I still seem fake. So they come walking. I see them off. They're over here in the distance, and they come walking up, and I'm laughing to myself. I'm like, all right, cool. We got our next victims coming up. And as they come walking up, and his name is Timmy, he looks over at me, at the dummy, and he's like, Mom, that's real. Mom's like, no, it's not. You've seen Jay put that up a couple weeks ago. You've seen it. We see it every day. We drive by it. We've seen it every single day. It's out here. It's been in the rain. It's not real. It's just a dummy. Well, I don't know. I didn't move I don't know what but he realized that I was not the dummy, that I was real. So they come walking up a little closer, and he's like, Mom, I think that's real. So he's convinced, right, that I'm real. So he comes walking off the sidewalk, and he's creeping up, and he gets up and he touches my knee.
And?
So it crinkled because I've got right? I stuffed myself. There's newspaper in there. Touches it, and you can hear it crinkle. And his mom says, see? It's fake. It's the dummy that's been out here this whole time. He's unconvinced. So in the meantime, I'm sitting here. I'm not moving, right? I haven't moved a muscle. He starts to climb up on my lap, one little hand at a time, and it's just crunching, thank goodness I put a newspaper in. It's just crunching the whole time he's getting up there. And Mom and the aunt are convinced that it's still the dummy, right? So he's crawling up, and I'm telling you, he's like looking inside the mask, and I've got my eyes closed. He's trying to see if there's eyeballs in there. So I've got I've got my eyes closed, and I can feel one hand come up on the shoulder, another hand come on the shoulder, and his knees are on my legs, and he's like moving around looking. And all this time, Mom and Aunt are like, "Come on, let's get up, and go ring the doorbell, say trick or treat." Finally, after they kind of say that, and he's like, "Okay," and he starts to get down. That's when I just grab him, pick him up in the air. He's screaming. He is running in the air, right? I've got him in my hands. I've stood up. Well, not only does he freak out, but Mom and Aunt lose it. They're gone. They scream, turn around, and run off out into the street. I mean, they left poor Timmy. He's on his own. She was like, screw it, he's gonna die. Just left him in my hands while Mom and Aunt run off out on the road. Oh my gosh, it was so funny. Had to set him down. He's freaking out. I had to take my wolf mask off, calm everybody down. But it was so funny. It was one of the best scares. Because I mean, and I saw that then that night, and I've seen it before. Like when you really get someone in a good jump scare, their eyes, they go from this to like this, just huge, and they just lose everything. That's the funniest thing you can ever do.
Okay, all right, dude. I'm gonna have to admit, man, that's pretty funny. I can see where this isn't just being mean, but maybe it's mean, but that was funny.
So later on that night, I'm back down, sitting back on those logs again, waiting for the next trick-or-treater to come up, right? An hour or so later, some other kids had come. This little guy dressed as a devil, right? He's got the whole thing, the devil horns, a pitchfork gill, his bag of candy. Here he comes walking up to the house, and he is completely by himself. I mean, there's no parents, no older brother, no anything. He's all alone. All alone. So as he's walking up, I can't resist. And so as he gets like within, as he gets within a couple feet of me coming up, I just jumped up. Werewolf, right? He loses it. He turns. He jumps up in the air, and I swear his little feet, man, he's moving before he even hits the ground. Right? He hits the ground running. Boom, takes off. Well, here's the thing. So, looking back out from the house towards the road back this way, on the left-hand side of the sidewalk there, over on this side, there's a light post. A black one with was kind of the old style black post with the light deal on top of it. Only the light part's gone because ran into it as a kid playing football, knocked it off, whatever. So it was just this black pole. When he hits the ground, boom, he's gone, right? Takes off. And he runs face first. Boof. Right into that pole, falls over. And he's like not moving. I'm like, oh, I'm freaking out. I'm like, oh my gosh. This kid either just killed himself or he knocked himself out by hitting this pole. So I take off over to go help him out. And the whole time, like I'm in like help mode, right?
Help mode?
Well, yeah. So trying to help. Well, I forget that I've got the wolf mask on. But I reached down to help him up. And as I reach down to kind of help him up and get his candy, he looks up, sees this werewolf standing over the top of him to pick him up, and he loses it again. He gets up, he's like just slides up like in one fluid motion. Like I didn't even see him. He just like this straight out from underneath me, takes off. He's screaming, runs out to the road, hangs left, runs out, and just I watch him run off in the middle of the street for like 3 blocks, just screaming straight down the middle of the street. He left his pitchfork, he left his bag of candy, he left everything laying right there in the yard. I felt so bad. He never came back. I never saw him again. I was going to give him his pitchfork and stuff back, but he never came back. So because of that, because he ran into that pole, I was like, I'm going to have to like decorate this light post so I can keep kids from running into that. We don't have this problem again. And then that kicked off decorating for Halloween. So the next year, put a little bit of stuff on the post, and then the next year grows. The next year grows, of course, more and more. And back then, I mean, even it seems like it's this way now. Back then, I didn't have a whole lot of money, so everything that I decorated with, I had to basically make myself. Now, I had some masks and stuff, but everything else, I had to make myself.
Okay, so we got a deadly light post out front that's just dropping kids like flies left and right. In order to make that stop happening, you decided to decorate it, which led to more yard decorations. So, you got any old photos of the early years when you were starting to decorate?
Sure. I'll show you. Things were a lot different back then. So I've got some pictures, and I might even have some photos still on the old computer over here. I'm not for sure. At one point in time, I had a whole lot of these old photos, but I lost them due to little flooding incidents and stuff. But I do have one little book here. This one says 2010. Some of these pictures in here are older than that, right? Right. Dude, we're going way back. I mean, way back a long time ago. Like, I don't have better pictures, but so here's a picture of what I did for my original dummies. It's not very good. This was just because this one was just like a robe or nightgown. It's not a nightgown, a graduation gown. This was a T-post, all this wood made out of wood, right? And then with arms coming off of it, it was all done with wood. Throw a mask on it, drape that over, and had a stand-up dummy. Because back then, the big thing I wanted to do was when you saw dummies for Halloween decorations, they were always just sitting down. They were on a haystack, they were on a porch, on a swing, chair, wheelbarrow, whatever. They were just laying down. And I wanted my dummies to stand up. Let's see if I can find. Pretty sure I got another picture here. Well, here's this guy. He doesn't look really good, but so this was something I used to do too. I would basically build a skeleton out of 2x4s, right? So I would drive a couple 2x4s down the ground to make the first part of the legs. Then I would put pants over that. Then screw 2x4s to that, like at the knee section, make a bend in it where they were either look like they were half walking or standing, whatever it was. So I would build this skeleton out of wood, dress everything, stuff it all up, and then I had dummies that stood up by themselves out in the yard. At that point in time, no one else did this. You didn't find stuff. There wasn't Spirit of Halloween. There wasn't the only place was like, what was that place in the mall? It was
Sears.
Oh my gosh, I can't even. It still exists today.
Victoria's Secret.
And I think it's where Spirit started.
Spencer's.
Spencer's. That's it. Spencer's in the mall. That was really the only place you could find cool Halloween props. But generally, that was just like masks and stuff. And then those masks were always like $100 or better, which was something I could never afford. So I had cheap Walmart masks and stuff. So, I mean, all the stuff that's around today didn't exist back then. So if you wanted it, you really had to make it. So that's how I made these dummies. And the thing was, those dummies, when it came to Halloween night, those dummies would be out, of course, for 30 days for everybody to see. That way everybody thought they were dummies. And then on Halloween night, a couple buddies would come over. We would all go outside, pick a dummy, pull the dummy apart, go through all the wood away, put those clothes on, restuff ourselves in those clothes, and then go back and stand in the exact spot with the same pose that dummy had been standing in for 30 days. And then we just stood and waited. I mean, there was a lot of wait time. And back then, Kids came by themselves a lot of time trick or treating, or it might be mom and dad, but they walked the streets and showed up. And so they'd walk the streets, they would come into the yard, they're looking at everything, they're kind of freaking out. Uh, Mom and dad convinced them that everything is fake, right? Nothing to be afraid of, is all fake. And then they get their candy. As soon as they got their candy, step back off that porch, everything came alive from each side. Wow! We were all running after them, and we send kids running down the street, being scared and stuff, and parents laughing the whole 9 years. And then it just caught on from there. So from that point, it was making things bigger and better. Back in the day, these walls back here you see on this, I had a buddy of mine work for one of those sign places. They put those big signs out on the interstate. He worked for a company to put those things up. And then they would take them down when they were wore out and put new ones up. Well, these vinyl signs were like 20 by 30 or 20. They were huge. He would bring them to me, and then I would take them and paint them black and do this and paint this castle wall stuff, and then literally kind of build I don't even know how you'd call it. I would drive fence posts in the ground, strap a 2x4 to it, run cable from one to the next, and then drape these over to create walls. And I would wall off the entire yard where you couldn't see inside, because I wanted to get a better scare factor. So there were years where you couldn't even see inside, right? Like, like this right here. I mean, I know this is hard to look at or hard to see, but I had basically a gateway to come in. Everything else was walled off, so you couldn't see inside, and you couldn't see who was moving and who got scared, because the more we did this, the longer we did this, the more people started showing up, and we lost that time frame in between scaring someone and getting to be able to get set back up, because there'd be so many people there. Well, here's an old one. Kind of wanted, I don't know, it was a time in between. Yes, I didn't have it out front, so this would have been an older deal, but that's all black plastic against the house back there that I physically actually stapled to the house and then painted castle wall bricks on. Still had these entry columns that I had these little pumpkin rat things in that glued that would light up and glow, and then a fake wrought iron fence. Oh, it was so long ago.
Hang on, go back. Was that a dragon?
You mean this one? Yeah, dude, that's a dragon. I got in this habit to make I would make dragons for Halloween. I never kept them. I made them out of black plastic, black bisqueen and wood and whatever I could shove under. One year I had one that was like 40 foot long. The head laid on the ground. It was real close to the sidewalk, and it wrapped around the yard, back around to the other side, to the tail. This one, I had it where the head was on top of that. So it was looking at the trick-or-treaters as they came in. Then the body came down on the inside, and the tail went almost all the way to the door. But the body was hollow, and so a buddy of mine, when he came over on Halloween night, he got inside the body and cut a couple of slits in it, and then would reach out and grab people as they were walking in and out. It was a great jump scare. I put a trick-or-treater in the mouth of the dragon. Its feet are holding out there, so like it ate the trick-or-treater. Yeah, just lots of fun stuff. Like this here, this is what was called back in the day a boneyard barbecue. Just an old, then this wasn't even a full skeleton. I had like pieces of skeletons and stuff and just hung it together, and it was like he was being barbecued. And that's back then, before learning how to do foam and lights and stuff to make that, hot coals type of thing. I would take wood, just actual stacks of wood, stack them up and put a red light inside of it, light up red, and then generally I would have a fog machine plumbed into the back of that and let fog come out of it to make it look like it was on fire. I thought it looked good. A lot of other people thought it looked pretty good too. There's so many of the earlier years. I don't have a whole lot of photos of that time. I mean, that was a time before the internet, really, before YouTube, and didn't really think about taking a whole bunch of pictures to really grasp everything. I did so many different different displays, different ways to do the displays. I mean, it was just fun. I had friends that would. I remember one year, a friend of mine, I threw a dummy up on top of the roof. We put a pan in it with some spaghetti noodles in it. He got up on the roof and sat there. We put a spotlight on him, and he was acting like he was eating the guts out of the dummy on the roof. And as people came up to get their to trick or treat, he would throw the spaghetti and stuff on them. We did so many different things, and a lot of that back then didn't document it, didn't take pictures of it. But then, really, when I really started kind of documenting, that was back here in 2011. So back during this time, as when really kind of got on YouTube and started doing some stuff, you can see here the gatekeeper. He's been around for a long time. We were doing more along the lines of like a cemetery fence type of thing. There was a little creature there that I made. It was inspired by Stalloween for sure. He made that exact same thing, and he was inside a casket. It was super cool. So that was back in the early years. A lot of stuff when I started making Mache type stuff. A lot of inspiration came from Stalloween and pumpkin rot. But yeah, you get into here back here. Look, we got these are all basic dummies. The where I done on these, I believe by this time I started using PVC on the inside instead of 2x4s. I learned the miracle of PVC and how much easier it was. Easier to stake in the ground, easier to deal with. Changed a lot of that stuff up. Still had the old boneyard barbecue, and I believe in this was my first Mache witch. I really think. Let's see, is she in here? There's the old boneyard barbecue. Yes. So this girl here, on the one on the left, coming up, she was the first witch I ever made. This one was just a mask type of deal, but this old girl right here was my first paper mache witch. I'm not sure where that head is. I think it's still around somewhere.
Dude, it is so crazy how different things were back then. I mean, nothing's the same now. This is wild.
Yeah, man. So yeah, so much has changed, right? Over the years. It's kind of fun to go back and look at some of this stuff. I'm pretty sure we've got some footage from 2012. Let's check that and have a look here. Yeah, we got some 2012 footage. Everything's pretty much kind of close to the same as it was in 2011. Not a whole lot's changed. We still got the gatekeeper out front. We're still running the cemetery fence out front. Basically just a repositioning of all the junk in the yard, except this was the first year for I made this pumpkin tree thing, right? And also was this, yes, this was the year that we did the pumpkin tree. It was the year that I made this wraith, this ground wraith thing coming up, which was a heavily inspired thing from pumpkin rot. He made a year where he had these wispy ghost things coming up out of the ground. Once again, inspiration by other people trying to do that. And then this was the first year of the two new witches. We had a witch that was holding an apple, kind of like the whole deal from, gosh darn it, from Disney, the witch with the poisoned apple. And I made the second witch with that. So at this point in time now we had three witches. So I had a cluster of three witches, a coven of three witches, would you say? And they would be around a witch's pot. So those were kind of the big additions there this year, were those witches, the wraith thing coming out of the ground. And I really believe that's it, That's why we're heavily focused on. And I built these all these fake looking boards that went over the windows so I could kind of creep out the house. I always had a problem with the way the yard was kind of haunted for, Halloween, but the house didn't look like it fit. So yeah, there's 2012. A little bit of updates on that one. Okay, so here's where things start to get a little dicey. So 2013 was really when Unhinged was created. That year we had moved to Joplin. I had rented a house up there, did a haunt up there, but really didn't get a lot of footage on that. That's when I first started trying to make videos, tutorials, that type of stuff, and didn't really focus on the yard. I wasn't sure how to really put together videos and make them entertaining for the yard. So 2013, no real video.
What? No video?
I know.
You called this 30 years of hunting, and you don't have footage from every year?
I get it, dude. It sucks sometimes, right?
You can say that again.
Now, 2014, somewhere in there. I'm still not sure. 2014, I don't really know. I don't think I took any footage. Yeah. Let's see. So, this is 2020.
Here we go, folks. An actual depiction of how his brain works. He's almost got the thought. Is it there? And no, it's gone.
So if this is correct, this is like, so 2014, 2015, 2016, I don't really have footage of those years. So this, I believe, is like 2018. Somewhere in there. Forgive me for I don't remember, right? So this is the yard. Quite a few different things have changed at this point in time. Let's see. I started adding. So this was the first year that was kind of like a walk through type of thing. You entered in a gate over on the right-hand side, kind of walked through the yard, went up to the door here, and then you exited out on the other side of the yard. Is that right? I don't remember. This is the first year I kind of started using some limbs and stuff in the yard for fake trees, that type of stuff. Made this witch's hut right here. Just have some black plastic and a little bit of 2x4 BS framing on the inside, and used some foam for the window deals, and then just painted rocks on it, right? Not a whole lot to it. We had an additional ground breakers this year. This was one of the first years I think some of these ground breakers came out, and we still had our witches, tombstones and stuff. The lighting changed quite a little bit in this one, and things started to look a little bit better. Started using vegetation from around the neighborhood, that type of stuff to create a little more ambience with it. And like I said, took advantage of the sticks and things. We still got our witches out there. Now we're down to 2 by this year. I think the green one had been retired by that point in time. But overall, we started increasing the way the yard looked. Started looking better, in my opinion. So here we are. Officially, this is 2018.
2018?
Yeah, bro, it's 2018 because I actually, when I put the video up on YouTube, I put a date on it so I can tell it's 2018. But this is the year things started changing a little bit more. I really wanted to do more. This was not the first year of the, well, maybe this is. So this is the first year we did kind of a walkthrough type situation where you walked in these gates on the one side. You had to go through the cemetery. I had made this little conglomeration of stuff out of pallets in front of the house you had to go into to go up and get your candy. And then on the other side over here We had made what I called Witches Woods. This is also one of the year that the pumpkin dragon was around. So I think I made that pumpkin dragon honestly in like 2016, maybe 2016, somewhere in there. And it went quite a few years before I actually finally got rid of the pumpkin dragon. Got rid of it because he was just so big and huge. But this was the year you walked in here, and then on the other side, I did a lot of vegetation and stuff and called it the Witch's Woods. So you had to walk through. You walked through, and you met me at the first gate, and I told you this story about whatever. Then we went in to get the candy. When they got the candy and came back down, that I made the story up that I wouldn't take you any further because I was too scared to go on the other side, and you had to get through the Witch's Woods by yourself to get yourself back out. So it was another little kind of a maze thing that I basically threw together with sticks and shrubs and stuff from around the neighborhood. In the daytime, it doesn't look super impressive. You went back by this witch's hut. We had friends in here that were acting like witches and hollering at kids and different things like that. At night, this was really cool. You really felt like you were inside something. Daytime, not quite so much. But it was the first kind of like walkthrough type of thing. And honestly, it's the only walkthrough type of thing we'd done. It was a fun year. It was raining. It was cold. And we had kids piled up over a block long just waiting in line to get in. It was a fun year. So 2019, it's a mystery. Don't really know where it went.
Dude, you gotta be kidding me. I mean, come on. Holy cow. You called this thing 30 years of Halloween home haunting, and then you get into this, and you're missing all kinds of footage from all kinds of years. What? What kind of video is this? I mean, where is the 2019 footage?
I don't know. I'm sure there were some pictures somewhere, something, but I can't find them right now. I don't know what happened to 2019. However, I do have stuff from 2020.
Wow, miracles happen.
So 2020, it was a year I was really tossing around the idea of facade. I wanted to do a facade. Didn't have the funding to do a facade, and I just remember back in the day stapling black plastic to the house. You saw those pictures at the beginning where I put that back up and then painted it up to look like a castle wall. Basically, this is the year that I did the same thing, but I did it a bit different. And the theming more for this year was like witches. And the house I was trying to turn into a big witch's cavern or cabin that was out in the woods. So I had taken black plastic. Instead of stapling it straight to the house, I had put some runners on the house, stapled that to it. And then I had this stamp that I painted this up to look like a cobblestone witch's hut. And then we got our witches again. We got our graveyard off to the side of the graveyard this year. It looked more like, what is it? Not Easter Island, but Stonehenge. Don't really know what those are for. I had the big styrofoam blocks, just trying to make something of it and fill up space on the other side. But yeah, we got 2020, not too bad. All witches, all, a little more here and there, and all done on the cheap. So this is some transition, and there's some changes going on here in 2020. Which, after 2020, of course, leads us...
To the Batcave?
No, dude.
To Dracula's castle.
It leads us to 2021. 2021 really wasn't huge changes. The biggest changes was the video and me naming my friends that came to help scare, and that was just all a bunch of stuff for the yard. Did another witch's hut off to the left of the house. Different than the one before. No plastic on the outside. Just threw it together with some junk I had around the house. Just using materials. It's one of the things I've always just kind of done. This year was my son had a whole lot of fun. We kind of dressed him up, painted him to look like a clown. He likes that menacing clown type of look. He carried around a axe with him, intimidated people, kind of tried to get people in one or two at a time. Again, this year, used the blocks on the other side of the yard to try to do some mausoleum type of stuff with this. Just anything to try to fill the yard out and make it look bigger. Like I said, I was trying to have these ideas in my head, wanting things to go bigger. Would always start things off at the last moment, never really get them completed like I wanted them to. And this was one of those years that when I started, I was making props until, close to Halloween, and just at the end of the time threw everything together that I could just to put Halloween together. 2022. 2022 was special.
That's the year you became Santa.
No, dude. 2022 isn't special because of that. 2022 is special because it was the first year of the facade. The facade was something I was trying to build for a long time. Not trying to build. The facade was a project that I had wanted to tackle forever. It was the one thing I felt like the yard was missing that to really set a real scene. I always wanted to do it. Wasn't sure if I could ever really pull it off or not. And I don't know if I was almost afraid. Budget was always a problem too. But 2022 was the first year of the facade. No real new props at this point in time. Except for a couple skellies that I bought. But everything else was the facade. The facade's the new prop. This one we use those big styrofoam blocks again to make a mausoleum off to the side of the facade there. We made another witch's area on the left-hand side. But this year was this 2022 was the first year that I was just like, yeah, this is what Halloween is supposed to be. I mean, I've been doing this for, like I said, close to 33 years. The house has been so many different things, always made with just materials that I could find around the house, never spent really any money. And the people around here always thought it was cool. They always thought it was fun. That's why everybody comes. But this 2022 for me, was the first year that I was like, yes, this is what Halloween is supposed to be. This is what's going to make things fun. So this year, this one was the first year that was a boatload of fun for me. And if you haven't seen some of these videos, like the progression, not the actual, but like right before Halloween of 2021, 2022, somewhere in these areas, if you go back in, these are the ones that I kind of started having some fun with leading up, in the weeks before Halloween. They got some tidbits and some good fun ideas and things like that in them, some tips and tricks. I recommend going back and watching the 2 or 3 before the actual Halloween setup. And the same as we look at these other ones, again, I recommend going and checking those things out. But yeah, 2022, first year I was super excited. Which brings us to
2023.
right, 2023. 2023 is another fun year. Again, no real new prop additions except for didn't even do the goblin then. So no real new prop additions, but we did a extension to the facade. So we made the facade bigger, longer, but put an extra length to it so it covers up the whole front of the house. That was the biggest changes to this year. We do have the wood fence again that's out front. We did make another witch's area off to the left-hand side of the house. That's kind of how this is staged out for a few different times. Is the house, which is to the left, graveyard on the right-hand side type of thing. Fill in with a bunch of other filler. Again, 2023 this is. Yes, 2023. Another super fun year. Like you just keep, as the years go on, just all you got to do is add a few different things, and the display really starts to shape up. I wish I had this mentality back years ago when I first started, 15, 16 years old. As I wish I would have had this kind of a mentality to do things. If I would have tried to plan things out and do things and keep where I could redo, the size of this yard hunt right now would be unbelievable. But I always built them on a whim, and nothing was ever left over to use again. So things are changing. But 2023, fun year. Finally, this brings us to 2024. 2024, no real new additions to anything except I made a goblin.
A goblin? What? You made a goblin?
That's right, dude. I made the goblin. But this was the first year out on the fence. I wanted to make the fence longer, stretch it out a little bit more. So I went around the neighborhood, found a bunch of... everybody's got burn piles around here from when limbs blow down, that type of thing. And then everybody will burn their stuff on the weekend or whatever. So stole a bunch of vegetation from different places, made these fake bush type things that were in the fence here and there so I could pull the fence and make the fence longer. That was really the only reason why I did it. But it was also super awesome looking to look at. And a lot of people thought those was just bushes growing out of the yard. And it wasn't. But this was the year. Again, we've got our big facade over here. And then I wanted to make another facade on the cheap. Run out of time. So we took, once again, you've seen these styrofoam blocks over the years, how I've used them in different scenarios. Used them once again. Had a buddy that brought me a bunch of this pre-cut cardboard. Slapped that cardboard up on the outside of that thing to make it look like siding, and built this witch's hut for the witches scene. Super cheap. I was really happy with the way Halloween 2024 turned out. I mean, it looks super cool. And the best thing about this whole deal is I didn't have to spend a lot of money to make these huge changes. Some sticks from the neighborhood, whatever, to make the fence look bigger. Some of that styrofoam that you guys have seen over the years being recycled, and some cardboard that I got for free to make this killer witch's hut. I mean, look, this witch scene this year, one of my favorites, hands down, turned out awesome. I just really want to drive that point home, guys. You don't have to spend a lot of money or buy the newest thing to make Halloween awesome. Just use your imagination, things that you've got available to you around your home, and you can build an epic scene for Halloween. This one turned out great. There it is, man. 30 years of hunting.
Yeah, 30 years of hunting and only like 5 years of footage. Nice.
Whatever. I didn't, you know what? Sorry. So I didn't have every single year for the past 30 years. I've got a lot of stuff missing, but you get the point. I think they get the point too. 30 years worth of yard hunting. Started off when I was 15, 16 years old. Back when I didn't know a yard hunter existed. I just liked Halloween and liked to decorate and had a lot of fun scaring kids. What was the biggest thing? Was just scaring the kids. That's always the funnest part. I mean, like I said before, when you can really get someone good and their eyes go from this to that, there's no better feeling or no funnier. It is hilarious when you get someone good, and I can't explain it. But anyway, 30 years. Here we are, 33 years into this. We're still going strong. There's some new stuff coming up for 2025. Hopefully, we can make quite a few new additions this year. That's the plan. If you guys stuck around this long, you're freaking amazing, because this thing is almost an hour long, or maybe it is an hour long. I don't know. It's a long-winded. I didn't know how to condense 30 years worth of junk into 10 minutes. So here we are. It's what it is. And if you're still here, you guys are awesome. Catch you next week in the next video. I have no idea at this point in time what it's going to be. Still got the other guy I'm working on. It may be that one. It may be an old one. It may be something new. I don't know. Stick around. You're going to have to see next week to find out what it is. But until then,
You making something? From nothing.